I'm always like claiming to be this person that is so soft with myself. Like, I let myself make mistakes, I let myself do things, and I correct myself in the most loving, gentle way. But I'm here to confess that sometimes I can be a fraud too. Like, I can be a fraud too. You already know the topic that we're talking about today. And perfectionism is very simple to define. It's like basically high personal standards and critically over criticalizing or criticizing yourself as a person, as an artist, as a mom, a dad. Anything that you're giving out, you're always like criticizing it. And these standards are not external standards, they're very internal. They're very you. What the standards you're putting on yourself, by yourself, for yourself. What am I doing my hands like a lot? There's so much movement going on. Welcome. A little backstory about myself. Like, I feel like I've been a creative child. Like, all my life I've been involved in art expression, art loving and admiration. Anything that has to do with art, you're gonna find me there, you're gonna find me around there, you're gonna find me in there, you're gonna find me on top of there, you're gonna find me under there. I just love art, okay? If you watch my last video, I was talking about how much I love Shakespeare and how I was a Shakespeare fanatic at the time in my life, and I wanted to be him, I wanted to be better than him, I wanted him to come back to life and give me a handshake and tell me, yes, you did that. Excuse me. I am a creative. I create a lot. I have a crochet brand. I used to be a novelist. I'm still a novelist, actually. This video was fueled because I am trying to go back into writing novels. I used to write a lot of novels in high school, and I even have like a copy of a handwritten manuscript right there on my shelf. I used to write a lot of books, more than I can count, almost 20 different storylines, different characters, and it was so good. I fell in love with writing. I started writing when I was 5 years old, and from writing I started to act in like school plays and stuff like that. I've always like been drawn to art and like creating art and everything. But there's gonna be a but, because if there's no but, why are we making this video? Why are we here? The but is perfectionism, right? I think I might be suffering from perfectionism because, and it makes sense for me, because a lot of times I measure myself by what I'm doing and not who I am being. Do you get what I mean? And that could be your case too. Perfectionism is good to an extent, because when you're producing art, you want it to be good art. I'm doing this because what is good and what is bad art, right? And a lot of times when I find myself constantly like thinking of what to do to be the best, what to do to stand out the most, and how can I make my art or my novel be the best novel out there? How can I be a genre breaking author or a genre breaking poet or something? Or when I'm trying to like design crochet tops and I see something that I have designed on the internet and I start to question myself, that was it actually my original like idea, or did I just see this before in another font and recreated it to my own taste? A lot of times the thing that comes to my mind is how art is subjective and there's no such thing as bad art, and how I'm just like placing too much emphasis on being perfect, and that is restricting me. I have had the opportunity to get my book published, but once the idea of a representation of me being out there in the world. And one thing about art is, once it's out there, you can't really ask for it back because it's no longer like just your property. So I used to post my poems on TikTok, and then I deactivated my TikTok because I was also thinking about this, and I was spiraling, and I was saying like, all these people who have listened to me recite this poem have this representation of my work now. They've listened to like 5 of my poems, they can pinpoint something that sounds like me. And I started to think like, is that the sound I want for myself? So that made me delete my TikTok account. I have a problem. Objectivity is presenting an interpretation of something without personal biases. Like, it has to be factual. There has to be what do they call it? An empirical way of interpreting or criticizing and analyzing a particular thing. And objectivity is always in my head. Because I'm always thinking, what if I create objectively bad art? And anytime I say this to like anyone I'm talking to, the thing they always tell me is like, oh no, you have nothing to worry about. Art is subjective. Art is subjective. But we have objectively bad art though. Right? If you click on youtube.com and you just search subjectivity in art, there's so many videos about it. I'm going to put like some of my favorite videos on the screen right now about subjectivity in art. Love the thought subjectivity in art. I kind of agree that art is subjective, but I'm gonna be holding myself accountable to objective art. And I don't know how this is going to help my perfectionism. I don't know if I'm just going to throw myself into the dens of art critics and people who want to tear my book limb for limb till they destroy me and make me go psycho, and I'm not able to read any of the reviews when I finally publish my book and I have reviews on Goodreads or something like that, right? And I'm always thinking of the opportunity to write my magnus opus, which means great work. And it wasn't easy for a child that started loving books because of William Shakespeare. It's so crazy because everyone said that William Shakespeare is the king of English literature. No one else can beat him. He sold out stages and he blew up. And I was like, that was my standard. I was like, I'm not going to be anything less than him. And that has made me so scared of anything that has to do with publishing my book or publishing a collection of essays or a collection of poems. Anything. It's so much easier for me to do every other part of my art thing, like starting my YouTube video and my YouTube channel and talking on the internet about my opinions, making my crochet brand. But everything has been stopping me from becoming a published author, because I feel like it's so easy for me, especially it's so easy for me to lose interest in things, right? So when I have this strong desire to start a YouTube channel, I start it. You need to start your crochet brand, I started it. But the thing that has carried me, the thing that I've been consistently passionate about for almost 20 years is writing, and it has made me pause, and I'm like, I have to be good at this. This is like my one shot, right? And I'm always thinking consistently about how this is my one shot. And the shot is about to kill me, man. Are you ready to dive into this video, into this content, into this essay, into whatever you want to call this, a YouTube channel on youtube.com, and a video of a black girl with blue eyeliner talking about art and how art is? Perfectionism. The pursuit of excellence, high standards in the realm of art is kind of common. It's very common actually. Like so many people want their art to be impeccable, and I hear it like sometimes people are unaware when they say like, oh, I'm not ready to do this, oh, it's not perfect yet, oh, it's not ready. And it's continuously the thing that's like holding them from like putting the art out there, holding me from putting my art out there. Sometimes it holds me from actually doing my art because I'm thinking of just how perfect my book is going to be or how perfect this poem I'm going to write is, and I never get around to actually writing it. Like thinking about how I want it to be perfect and I want it to be so structured and I want it to have a particular aesthetic and invoke a scent, invoke a vibe, invoke a weather, and at the end of the day I find myself not doing any of those things and the idea is just rotting in my brain. I listened to one of Stephen King's interviews, and I remember he said that a writer shouldn't have like an ideas notebook. So since then I wasn't really putting like ideas in notebooks. I just let my ideas sit in my head because he said that your mind is a buffer for good and bad ideas, right? Like any idea that keeps coming and coming and coming and coming, you should pursue that one, and the ones that kind of fall off the sieve, then you just have to let them go, or if they're more important they'll come at a later time. And this was during my Stephen King era. I was obsessed with everything that man said, so I do that right now, and that is what I do as a writer or whatever. Perfectionism goes far beyond the pursuit for excellence or even good art. It becomes a circle of self-criticizing that leads you to like hate every piece of work that you create. It can also lead to like self-hate and feelings of inadequacy or feelings of self-hatred, or just blatantly thinking like maybe I am not cut out for art. And then you start to like look at your mates or your peers who are also artists like you, who are writing books or who are bringing out pieces of paintings, and you're like, how come these people can do it and I cannot? When low key, high key, girl, you're the one holding yourself back. You're literally holding yourself back. You're not letting yourself be a human being because you're striving for superhuman level perfection. I'm talking about myself right now. Like literally, I've been this is the third time I'm attempting to write my novel in 2 years. I had this idea since I graduated high school and I'm in my third year of uni right now, and I've been writing it in different ways and saying this is not good enough, this is not good enough, this is not good enough, because every time I think about like authors that I love, their debut is so good and I'm just like, wow, my debut has to be this good. Like I don't want my second novel to blow up. I want the first one to launch me into what they call it, household status. Literally that. And it keeps making me like rewrite my stuff over and over, and I'm just like counting myself like, should I really be doing this? Like, is this what I want? Do I just close my eyes and just like write everything I want and just send it to the editor or something? Do you get what I mean? Finding art is like large. There's so many aspects of art. There's so many things that people consider art. Is it aesthetically pleasing to them? Are they enjoying it? Does it remove them from reality? Does it make them forget their problems? Does it like launch them into their problems? Does it make them think about the things that they're trying to ignore? So many things, so many things, so many things. So many things define art to different people, and this makes me think like maybe art is subjective. Maybe objectivity in art does not exist. Maybe if art is objective, then it will not be art because it won't serve every purpose to everybody. Do you know what I mean? Because art is supposed to be like a personal experience. So if there is objectivity in art, there's no personal experience anymore, because you have to be forced into this like societal herd mentality way of consuming an art form, and I don't think that's right. I don't know if what I said just made sense, but it's okay because I'm hydrated. But then I'm thinking, like, if there's no particular empirical way to measure art, how does it have value, right? Because we're just like, oh my god, art is subjective, and everybody's personal experience with art determines if the art is good or bad to them. But I want to digress, because I think there are some art that is not good to anybody. Hopefully somebody doesn't use this video against me when I publish my book and they say my book is not good to anybody. The thoughts are coming back. Oh my god. But yeah, like, I don't think we're just like, art is not a tank of subjective opinions. Like, people cannot just come on the internet and imagine everyone hates something and then they're like, this is objectively bad art, but the person's composition is good, the structure of the novel is good, following the whole introduction, exposition, climax, rising confess, resolution, the whole triangle thing. The person characters all developed, they all had a growth, a mission, all the whole structures. There were no plot holes, but like, everybody hates it though. Does that mean it's objectively bad? I mean, does that mean it's bad because everybody subjectively thinks it's bad and nobody like really enjoyed it, but it's following all the objective empirical measures of art, right? Do you get what I'm saying? This is not what I'm supposed to be talking about. I'm supposed to be talking about perfectionism, because that is the disease that is holding me back from writing my book, and that is what I'm trying to talk about. I'm trying to like talk it out of myself so that I'm able to finish my magnum opus, because I'm going to finish my magnum opus before I'm 20. I'm going to finish my novel before I'm 20, and even if it's not going to be published by the time I'm 20, because I'm going to be 20 very soon, it's just like, you know, it's just like, you know what I mean? I don't know if you know what I mean, but yeah. And I'm honestly thinking of what a bad book would be. What would be a bad book? Like, what would make my book stand out? What would make my book not stand out? Now, we have good books that don't really stand out. No one is saying, oh my god, this book was so good. But we all know someone called Koho, whose books are apparently really bad, and she is the most famous author out there. And that's the thing though, like, I keep thinking, am I doing this for fame? Obviously not, because I enjoy doing this. But I keep thinking about like self-image and awards. Maybe we ruined art by giving honoraries to people. Take me back to the days without awards, because my overachieving ass is always thinking of, am I ever gonna make the short booker list? Am I going to ever win an Oscar for a movie that was based on my book? Am I ever gonna be a Shakespeare? It's fucking up my life. Ugh. Remember, like, when I was saying, like, when you put your art out there, it's no longer just your art, because now it means so many things to so many different people, and so many people can do what they want to do with your art the way they want to do it. And then you have like fan fictions coming out from your art, and it's your characters that they're just reproducing in different fonts, in different storyline, putting your characters into different worlds, drawing your characters to look in different ways that was not what you were putting in your head when you were writing, because the art is no longer yours. It was yours for all the time that you were the one like writing it. Even when I share my book with like someone and the person has like different views about my characters, that I'm like, what are you talking about? This is not my character. This is not what I was trying to do, but okay. And it's like, art doesn't belong to you anymore. And the whole point, I say all of this to talk about how bad art can be when the communication is not communicationing. Imagine you write a book about family dynamics and no one interprets it as that. Is that objectively bad art? Even if people are like enjoying the fact that your book is good, but the reason you wrote the book, what your art was for, was not properly communicated to people that took your art into their hearts. And now you're reading all these comments on people talking about your book, but it's not anything you wrote the book for. Is this even helping me? I'm not sure. So you start to think like, how can I make it for people to understand my art in a way that I want it to be understood? Is it that you're just a control freak for real? Because think about it, like there's no way you're going to impose people's subjectivity on them. That takes away the subjectivity of it, right? So I'm just thinking, it's just a thought of how art becomes objectively bad. Because I keep telling myself that art can be objectively bad, but I've not been able to give an exact way to measure art. What is art? I don't even know what art is, because there's so much argument on what art is. Even what art is subjective. It's very subjective, because some people don't think that the making of video games is art. I think it's art. It takes a lot of drawing, animating. I think animation is art. I feel like a lot of things are art. Cooking can be art. Cooking is art. Cooking is art. Do you think science is art? What if someone's passion is science and the person is like trying to communicate their love for science? Is communication not art? Do we not say art is communication? So communication is art, so science is art. What am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. I don't know what I'm trying to say anymore. What am I trying to say? The way art can be good is if you produce your art with care, with love, with an intention to communicate something, but accepting the fact that what you're trying to communicate might not be the exact thing that is taken. And it's so easy for me to say like, oh, why would somebody read my novel and not know exactly what I'm trying to pass through? But it might be like the subjective experience of everybody is different, and someone might read a book about two friends and somebody lost a sister and another person has never had a friend, and the both of them will interpret the book in different ways. Different relationships will be like pointed out. Some are like platonic, some will be romantic, because some people are in love with their best friends. And it's like, you cannot control what people would take or interpret your art as. And that is my problem, because I need to let go of the control that I want over my art, because once I put my art out there, it's no longer my own. But it scares me so much, because this is my baby. My novel is my baby. I'm almost out of water. I can't believe I have to stand up again. Oh. And then I started thinking about like my makeup. I don't have pictures from earlier when I started doing my makeup, but I didn't start doing my makeup till like 2022 I started doing my makeup, and I looked a mess doing my makeup. And I know like my makeup skills are not like as good as I want them to be, but I'm proud of it. Like, look at this beat, guys. It took me like 10 minutes. 10? What am I saying 10? Like 5 minutes to get my face like done like this. And the wing of my eyeliner is so perfect. It's so perfect. They can never be twins, guys. They need to be cousins. I'm saying all this to say like practicing helped me make my eyeliner so perfect. And because of how like obsessed I am with my writing, and how obsessed I am with how I want my writing to be perfect, and I wanted to like have this image of me that even all my favorite authors, when they read my book, because I'm going to DM all of them and be like, hi, would you like to read my novel? I don't know if that's legal, but if it is legal, it will be done. And when I want them to read my novel and I want them to be so impressed, and I'm like, am I doing this for me? Am I doing it for them? And then I started to think to myself, the fact that I want to impress people with my art doesn't mean I'm doing it for the people. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that I can decide to impress people for myself. For myself. For myself. The negative implications of perfectionism. Do you guys know the famous painter Vincent van Gogh? Van Gogh. The guy that they said he ate yellow paint so he could be happy because he was sad inside. I don't know how true that is, but I know about his letters to his brother because I was also doing research about like other famous artists and if they let perfectionism destroy their art and how, because I just found myself hating my art more and more, hating my books, hating the way my writing sounded when I reread a paragraph over and over again. And apparently Vincent van Gogh also had the same problem because he was writing letters to his brother about, he had a lot of mental health challenges. It's just all I'm gonna say. So this guy, his name is Leonardo DaVinci. Do you know Leonardo DaVinci? Hello, Leonardo DaVinci. Leonardo DaVinci, his most famous painting is the Mona Lisa, and he spent years on the Mona Lisa trying to perfect it, relentlessly trying to make it absolutely perfect. And obviously that was procrastinating. He was literally pushing himself to limits that nobody knows just how far he could go with it. And I might be the Da Vinci of this generation because I have been writing this particular chapter for so long and I'm so tired. I'm so exhausted. I was enjoying the whole process of feeling good and typing away and so many ideas coming, and I'm thinking to myself, should I just let loose anything that comes to my head? I just put it down on this paper and publish it. Do I just do it? Do I just put myself out there at first and then I'm still withdrawn a little bit? Man, that's why I stopped writing for such a long time, because I remember this whole turmoil and I didn't really enjoy it. Writing and thinking about how just imperfect my writing is, and thinking about how like I probably don't know how to punctuate properly, and if I don't know how to punctuate properly, am I even a good writer? I'm constantly thinking about like how objectivity is ruining my life, because and then I stop and I tell myself, how can art even be objective? Because once anybody, no matter who the person is subject. Like, you are a slave to your biases. You cannot put your biases aside 100%. So even if you're like the most perfect art critic, when you pick up a novel, when you look at a painting, the first thing is, do I like it? Right? Like, is this good? Did I enjoy it? You don't really go first of all to the empirical way of measuring art. So it's just like a pond of opinions and biases that you're drowning in. And then I start to think about that and I'm like, so no matter how many people hate my work, there's still people out there that are going to F with it. And I'm thinking, but what's going to be the ratio? Is it going to be a good ratio or a bad ratio? Is it going to be more people that hate my work or more people that F with it? That's what I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about originality, because that is like one of the most important things to me. I want my work to be very original. I want it to be mine. I don't want it to have any resemblance to anything. But that's so impossible, because I read a lot when I was growing up, and even now I still try to push myself to read a lot, even if TikTok has rot my brain and I have the attention span of a goldfish. I still try my best to like read at least 10 pages a day before I used to read like 200 pages a day. But my leg is showing. So yeah, and I'm like, the things I read and the things around me, are they going into my art? How much of the books I read are going into my book? Hope it doesn't look like plagiarism and stuff like that. And all these kind of things are just like one of the things that make me think about not writing anymore. But I'm still gonna write though, because It is the essence of my being. It is the one thing that gives me absolute joy to do, creating characters. It makes me feel like I'm playing God, and I have a God complex. So it's fitting. It's fitting for me. But that's the constant turmoil that I'm in, thinking about like perfectionism and how my art has to be perfect and how it has to be perfect and perfect and perfect. It stops me a lot of times from writing my book or creating my crochet piece or writing a poem or like performing a poem. Or even when I start performing poems, I would think about like how I performed it, and I like constantly think about my intonations at this particular line. Was there a better way to use my intonations? Is there a way that I could have done it? And I know like sometimes it's just about perfecting my art, right? But sometimes it doesn't feel like just perfecting my art. It feels like I'm holding myself back. And it's not fun at all. I hate it so much. I don't know if anybody relates. If you relate, let me know in the comments. Let me know in the comments if you relate. Oh, my leg is showing. Ew. Don't get distracted by my leg, guys. Pay attention to me and what I'm saying. Okay? Good. I decided like 2 days ago to just do it. Just like write the art. Just like write the novel, write the poem, make mistakes, write anything that comes to the top of your mind. And that could be your voice, that could be your brand, that could be your medium of communication. After all, we just want people to be able to see into our minds, right? Art is a communication form from the heart, from the mind. And it's beautiful. It's like giving up something that's integrally part of you out to the world for their own like judgment and interpretation. And sometimes when I write poems that it takes me time to understand them, and I put it out on like my Snapchat story or something, and someone talks to me about it, and I'm like, wow, I never saw it like that, but that makes so much sense. I think I even prefer the way you interpreted the poem than the way I was writing the poem, right? I swear to God, I think I just saw something move in my room and I'm alone here. It's probably just my mind. That's the beauty of the mind, guys. So don't let perfectionism hold you back. Make the mistake. Be bad at punctuations and still tell us the beautiful story that you have. And that is all for the video. Guys, I was just like changing the angles and everything, but I really like this angle though.